Hello, everyone. I have decided that I'm going to do these sessions, streams about uh, drawing fundamentals, a little bit of tricks, and a little bit of demos here so we can all benefit from it and learn and grow together. So hopefully you will enjoy it. Today it's going to be about constructional drawing, how to simplify forms, or how to simplify something like animals when we want to like learn and learn about the most basic fundamental stuff when it comes to observation, real life objects. So let's just dive in. I'm going to be working with the reference pictures that you can actually see because I'm going to be drawing on a paper. First thing I want to do is warm up. So I'm just going to take a spare sheet of paper like this, and I'm just going to do for 5 or 10 minutes a little bit of like a primitive form drawing here, just to like get into it. And if you have any questions, let me know. About like 5 or 10 minutes. Maybe some boxes. Drawing boxes are always great. All these little drawings that I'm doing here are primitive forms. So we're going to be using it today in this stream. And we are going to be using these blocks to construct some volume. Pretty easy thing to do. Not really thinking about it. Just to warm up before I will actually start to really kind of think about what I'm doing or what I'm drawing. I want to be mindful of it, that's another thing. Always want to be mindful when I do strokes on a paper. I don't want to rush it either. Just filling up that paper. Maybe I will start slowly building up something of my mind here. Maybe just as a, like a little part of the warm-up. maybe these little shapes like this. And then I'm going to start to think about like a form here. I'm going to throw a little bit of contour lines here. Maybe just like this. Just to describe that surface as a little part of the warm-up. When I draw this, I think about insect legs. They have very similar structure, actually. Something that I'm pretty familiar with. I'm not going to complicate it. Just like this very kind of abstract shapes, just a little bit of contour lines here to show the form. Taper it in and out. Maybe a little bit of curved shape like this. Something that could be a base for a caterpillar or a snake. Maybe a little bit of the cylinders. Maybe some simplified face. Still drawing from imagination. Just warming up. I'm just basically dictating that surface here with the contour lines as I go. So it's totally up to me what I want to basically say, what I want this surface to look like. So this could be maybe basic, or a base for like a fish structure. Very, very simplified. So as you can see, if you play with this, you can build on something like this and draw from imagination. That's the secret. And design. But we will talk about it. Okay. So I have some reference pictures here. Let's have a look. Maybe we will start with something easy as an insect. So I would start with a simple like line like this. That would represent some sort of like a proportions of the insect that I'm looking at here. And then maybe try to find the shapes first. Then there's a head here. That's like a first thing that I want to do, right? When I do constructional drawing. I want to find and play with the proportions, because proportions are super, super important. Basically, what part of this insect is like the biggest, what parts are small, and try to comparing it, right? Constantly kind of do little tiny measurements and calculations. I am not being like a slave to the reference. That's definitely like very important to say and mention. Never ever. I never copy one-to-one. So when I have something like this, now I will start to build some construction, right? So like very simple stuff. And now I want to find that center line here and maybe some contour lines. Maybe like 3, that's enough. I will find this other center line on abdomen. I'm taking my time. No rush. And here I want to build that like back leg here. And because I have been drawing bugs before, I know the overall basically the form of the leg. Maybe a few contour lines on that limb as well here. On the abdomen maybe a little more. That's it. Now I'm going to do another leg. There's going to be a shape like this. Now I'm going to build a form. I'm just having fun. Like that. Now this head is a little kind of weird, but why not to adjust it a little bit? Maybe a center line here. And then there's this big part that looks like a nose. And right here, another structure here, which we can very easily express. The first 3 drawings usually are always like sort of, they suck. And that's normal. It takes time for the mind to wake up. So that's okay. So that would be our first drawing. I don't have to build this like here. I don't probably want to do it. Maybe if we will throw a little bit of like a ground here, just to indicate that some sort of like a surface here that this bug might be crawling on. Then let's move on. Well, let's do another one. Maybe we'll start with a line like this, and then maybe head can be represented by a circle, and mouth, another circle, and there's a thorax, and abdomen is going to be the biggest part, which is going to be actually more like a box shape. Then I want to express these limbs here, the legs, by making few little simple lines like this. I'm pretty happy with it, so now I'm going to be building up the form. I want to find shape first. So let's start with the head. Okay, maybe eyes. There's a little bit of overlap. Some antennas. Sort of like a mouth here. And I'm just going to build up that form as I go. There's going to be a center line somewhere here. There's little spikes, center line, likes. They're all usually like very kind of tiny. Very thin form. Maybe we can throw a little bit of contour lines here to show the viewer what is going on with the surface. Today it's going to be only about these contour lines and form. Something to practice, very easy. Let's just not complicate things, because life is already too complicated. And there's a lot of stuff to learn about when it comes to drawing. Let's try another one. Maybe a little fish. Now this is kind of interesting form, so I want to simplify it even more. Maybe a little study here of the very basic structure. So it's very, very kind of easy. So the contour line will go this way. It would be the wireframe. Doing a little study, observational thumbnail drawing very quickly, something like this can help and can be definitely part of the part of your sketchbook. You know, very helpful. Let's move on. This time we're going to try something more complicated. Something like a cylinder. Always try to simplify as much as I can. Let's do another one. This time maybe a figure. So let's start with the proportions. Maybe something that can represent head, and then a gesture, a circle, a neck, maybe a little bit of like abstract shapes. Some middle line. Again, I want to like simplify everything I see. That's the key. I'm not gonna even bother with the fingers. Contour lines. Maybe I can indicate an eye socket here. And that's plenty. For the study, this is enough. Now I can maybe rotate it in a different angle. Or create something similar. Maybe in the other angle. How about drawing it from the profile? As a part of the study, profile studies are always very helpful to do. Maybe I can come up with some iteration here. Depends on my imagination. Maybe I just want to do this dinosaur I'm looking at. I want to maybe break it into separate parts. And maybe do a little study here of the form simplified. maybe the leg can be represented. Quick little thumbnail studies. It's not pretty drawings, but they are very valuable when it comes to observation, studies, and learning about form and structure. Definitely very helpful. Now, because I know my primitive forms, I can basically take this idea I have in my head and I can rotate it in any angle I want. This is, for example, something like a cow. Very simplified, right? But it can be a base for my own design, right? Or drawing from imagination. That's why it's very beneficial to know these structures and do these studies all the time. Nothing fancy here, but great drill, great practice. 10-20 minutes every day. Can be even like a very abstract, and as long as you know how to build a box in a space, you can come up with your own ideas. Maybe having a sketchbook just about these little drawings like this, very quick kind of thumbnail studies, only focusing on the form, can really add up into your drawing skill. After all, everything is boxes, right? I'm just going to fill the whole page. I don't want to waste the paper. That would be a sin. Any of these like little drawings will really help to understand form and structure. The more you will do it, the better. 500 pages, 1000 pages. Every little drawing counts. Every little drawing is a brick. And when you're building castle, every brick matters. So all these very simple shapes. When you mess up, that's fine. Maybe you can come up with something on your based on your imagination. As long as it shows some structure, it's good. You can think about it like a building something from like a Lego pieces. For example, this can be broken down into these basic structures. The answer is to simplify everything. Because drawing itself is already super complicated. This stuff looks so good, super solid. Thank you, Atiku. Welcome here. Thank you for stopping by. I hope I can get to your level one day. Oh, it's fine. This is kind of easy, really. And it's not even that good, but there's a lot of mistakes. It's fine, you know. Nothing's perfect, to be honest. Not even drawings. After all, we are humans, and we make errors and mistakes, and we're tired, and we learn, right? We are not an AI. So maybe a few more. Maybe I want to kind of express the perspective here, so maybe this head I want to make like bigger. I want to like also draw it like with a low pressure. I don't want to commit to these lines just yet. We're gonna do like a very long fish here. When it comes to these contour lines, I don't want to draw them everywhere, only somewhere. Only just to basically whisper what is going on. I don't want it everywhere. Maybe just this would be enough. That's fine. Let's try something a little more complicated. Maybe more animals. Maybe mushrooms. How about some plants? Maybe we can start very easy. That's it. Very easy. 3 lines, 1 curve, 1 ellipse, and 1 wave. And from here we are going to build the mushroom. First the shapes. I don't want to commit to anything yet. Maybe I'm still like trying to find the form. So no pressure. And now maybe I can outline it. Pretty happy with that construction. Ta-da, we have mushroom, simplified. Maybe, let's do another one. No mess. Just clean, confident lines. Maybe we can do this one like we are looking at it from below. Three happy little mushrooms growing in a forest. Ta-da! And now we're happy. We drew a mushroom. That's good. We did something creative today. Now everyone knows how to draw a mushroom. Now maybe I can turn this mushroom into a character. Like very easy, cartoony sort of stuff. So first of all, I'll start with drawing very lightly the primitive forms, right? I already know that mushroom is made out of these two basically very easy forms, right? Something like a cylinder right here, and this could be maybe like a modified cylinder sort of stuff, a little more squished, natural. So that's it. This is my like little start here when it comes to maybe drawing a little character. Maybe I can just start with the nose and mustache, some eyes. Eyebrow. This mushroom gentleman looks rather confusing. Confused, sorry. Yeah. Maybe a little walking stick. Because it's been sitting in the forest too long. Ta-da! Maybe we can add a little bit of texture here, or a decal on a head. Some sort of pattern, right? Maybe to make it a lot more interesting. So I'm just gonna come up with something, maybe some abstract shapes, small, medium, big kind of shapes. Maybe also a little bit of texture. That can also like represent the contour lines. This is like more like a doodling. So as you can see, drawing is not about talent. Anyone can learn it. It's very similar to walking or going to the gym. In order to build some muscle mass, you gotta keep going to the gym and keep that consistency going, right? Here's some focal point, which is basically a spot on that picture where I want my viewer to look at. Basically where I want to guide the eye of my viewer. It's going to be the place with the biggest contrast or biggest detail. It kind of doesn't make sense, but it's okay. This mushroom, I mean, maybe he's got a little suitcase, just going to the work. Yep. Magic carpet, maybe. It shouldn't be like that flat, right? But maybe the carpet is not magical. Maybe it's just ordinary carpet. But let's keep going with the constructional drawing. That was just like a very little doodle demo of how to take the knowledge of these studies and apply it into something on your own, of your own, right? Then that big bull ride guy in the thumbnail is dope. Can we see a zoomed up version of that? It's on Instagram. No, it's actually, well, I would have probably next time, since I don't have a stream set up today for digital drawing. Today it's traditional, but sure, can show you next time. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome here. We're just doodling today. Learning a little bit. Something. Can add a little bit of spice to these mushrooms. You do art for work? Yes, sir. Ma'am. Yes, I do. How did you find this channel? Jay. I'm going to be calling you Jay since I don't know how to read your nickname. Sorry about that. I know people can be super sensitive when it comes to pronunciation of their nicknames. Starting with a very light sketch. I don't want to take it any further, just going to do contour lines. Gonna move on to another one. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Well, welcome here. Nice to have you. Thank you for coming. Oh, the thumbnail drew you in. That's a drawing of a goblin warrior I have done recently. Yeah. From imagination. But drawing from imagination digitally is much easier than drawing from imagination on a paper, where you fully have to commit to your thoughts on paper. So, but it's great practice. Practice is good. I enjoy to draw or paint fantasy, like classic fantasy, I'd say. So, yeah, I am into like a dark fantasy, dark sci-fi stuff. I tend to draw a lot of like a robo demons, robo undead skeletons, and classic fantasy. Basically, these three topics, and also, of course, like drawings like this, right? Foundational drawing, and observational sketches from nature, animals, plants. Yeah, because it's fun to take a sketchbook and go outside and draw outside, breathe fresh air, have a nice memories and experience, meet new people. Are you into fantasy? See, I have papers like this and I don't want to like throw it away. I just like use it for these little studies, And I'm not using sketchbook anymore that much because, to be honest, it's just like constantly in my way and it's like heavy, and I like to draw on a single sheet of paper. I also draw on Twitch, so another way how to work with these thumbnails or studies is to use a marker like this, and we already drew a fish. Let's just find something else. Genre-wise for games and movies, huge of fantasy. Just got back into drawing, doing a bit of portrait work. Oh, very nice, very nice. Would like to lean into some fantasy style artwork in the future. Nice, nice. Same. Yeah. Big fan of fantasy here. Big time. Especially dark fantasy. Do you know Magic the Gathering, Jay? I like Magic. Nice, me too. So I I collect demon cards, for example, because I just really like it. You know, I have an album full of demon cards because I just love demons in Magic. This is such a powerful cards. Have a weird obsession with it, big time. Oh, you stopped playing a bit back? Yeah. Not a big fan of new additions. Crucial Friday Night Magic, where some dude came in and was just brutally destroying me, and he said to me, "This deck is not fun to play against." So when I released, I was done of Magic. Wow, what kind of deck was it? Some mono blue. Sounds like it. A little bumpy. There we go. You don't even remember? Oh, mono red? Okay, that's the same thing. But still better than mono blue. Fun. Oops. Um, yeah, I like Commander, but Dual Commander, I don't like to play. I don't like to play the usual format of Commander, like multiplayer Commander. I don't like that because I think it's more about who is more diplomatic rather than like skillful. You know, it's like I'm not going to kill you if you're going to, you know, or like waiting around. Who is like, yeah, it's I don't like that. Yeah. A dual commander is much more fun, I think. So here am I drawing a base for a rhino head. Just very lightly, that initial shape and form. It's a little slightly like a modified box, I would say. Like this. And then there's also some horns here and here. An eye. Nostrils. What an odd shape when it comes to like a rhino head. It's very, like a very long. I'm just gonna build it as I go here. Sphere 2% commander, that sounds interesting. Is it super competitive or pretty casual? I think in Europe it's very competitive. In US it's more about the multiplayer, to my experience. Which is interesting. Ta-da! Rhino. This is also interesting. It's a pig. So maybe this head here can be translated from the profile view into something like this. And then from the 3/4 view into this. And then adding this as tusks. 2 pairs. Lots of beautiful pictures to study. I want to do maybe a little bit, little drawing from imagination here, based on a rhino or a boar. So maybe I will start with a head. I'm just going to build up something here. Maybe not the whole figure, but maybe just a head. Maybe I will add a little bit of my own design elements. Just a small little, like a drawing from imagination here and thinking about it. So it's going to be a boar. Let's just write it down. A boar. Sort of like a shaman kind of stuff. Maybe I want to exaggerate it a little bit. Maybe a little bit of hair. Now I kind of want to add some beats, shamanistic beats. And maybe there could be some sort of like a who knows, a runes maybe, which I'm totally going to make up. Now I want to find out what am I going to do with the neck and the body. Maybe some engraving can be on these individual parts. Well, maybe, you know what, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the head. Since I'm at the in the corner of the in the corner of my paper here. So that's it. That's how I do drawing from imagination, something like this. Thinking about it, committing to the thought. It also needs to come up from some visual library studies, like Bohr's, like this. I have done studies like this before, so I'm pretty familiar with pigs and boars. Maybe it can hold something. What it can hold. Sort of like a what do I do for work exactly? I've been working as a concept artist, and I mentor foundation drawing classes. How about like a lantern? I don't know why, I'm just going to like do some sort of like a simplified lantern here. Or maybe some sort of like a potion, who knows, something like that. Maybe it's a flask of water. That's what it is. Since my character is constantly thirsty, maybe he lives in a desert, right? So that's why. Fun little sketch, just for fun. Game studio, yeah. Most recently it was Warhorse Studio. I just see some very funny reference picture here, sorry. Yeah, they did. Unfortunately, it was not very pleasant experience, to be honest, working for them, but yeah. I want to do a few more little drawings here. It's very easy going. Oh, that's too bad. Are you often jumping from one project, from one company to another? No. I've been working for a studio for 4 years as a concept artist, and that ended recently, so I don't jump. And yeah, the game industry is in a pretty bad condition right now, to be honest, you know. So I'm not sure if I want to pursue that career anymore. I'd rather be drawing and sharing my experience with people, you know. I'm finding it more meaningful, if it makes sense. The reality of a work in game industry or in studio is very often much different than what people expect or imagine, you know. I know it sounds pretty cool when you say, oh, I work in a video game industry as a, you know, game dev, but reality is different. So to hear that, dude, yeah, it would be cool to be a teacher. I don't like that word, but I'm mentoring a classes of foundation drawing. I've been doing it for a few years, and now I work at Brainstorm School, if you know it. I don't know. So that's where I do foundation drawing classes. It's like a school where they teach you how to be a concept artist and designer. So there's a lot of people who are very smart and talented and skillful, and just it's just amazing to be at the same place where they are. Yeah. Can you expand on that? What's like working in the game industry as an artist? What's the day-to-day like? That's a good question. it really depends where you work. If you're going to be working for a big game studio, um, very often you're going to be underpaid. Very often you're not going to be heard, your opinions or your ideas. And it's not just a game industry; it's animation industry, animation studios, and movie industry as well. It's just going in a weird direction, and yeah, so it's big corporate, very similar practices as you would be working in a gray cubicle sort of environment. Since I would say like since 2010, video game industry and video game studios became a hardcore corporates, majority of them. And now they want to do everything the cheapest way, and they don't want to pay skillful people. Or they rather do it like with AI. So it depends. My experience, a good experience, is to go to small studios or find people who have same interests and same passion for the video game development. So, like indie studios and veterans of the game industry who are like pissed off with all that crap and they start their own studio. Like Expedition 33, I think it was that case exactly. Yeah. So I would not be working in a big video game company anymore because it's just. I think it's good starting experience for students, but that's it. Yeah. I'm not a student anymore. I don't feel like it because I have some experience, I have some confidence in my skill set, my knowledge. Yeah. So that's the reality. AI stuff, yes. Who's the main shot caller? Like you would report to an art director who kind of takes away. Yeah, it's an art director and CEOs. Sometimes they have to be part of these like calls where they decide about creative stuff, although they have never created anything. For example, it's just constantly some sort of like a. I will give you an example. Like a lot of it is about developing a thick skin, which is something you cannot get through drawing, for example. What does it mean? It's you constantly have to like argue or showing your work to people who just like never drew anything, and all they do, they go to the movie theater with their small little children, and when you like show them some work, they tell you, "Oh, that looks like the movie we have seen with my daughter yesterday," and then you're like, "Yeah, sure." It's kind of like weird, Yeah. And then, of course, investors, they make a lot of decisions, Because, they hold the money, right? Yeah. But don't get me wrong, like I like to be I like video games and I like to be a part of it. But the reality is different. It's not that pretty as it sounds. A lot of people doesn't have a job right now, you know. So I would maybe take this skill set I have, like when it comes to concept art, to be honest, and I would like build up something on my own, like my own world, if it makes sense, rather than just selling it to someone who doesn't appreciate it. So many voices would slow things down so much. I think that's getting to be a big problem in the game industry with the big AA studios. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes. Very often, like in these big studios, it's a terrible organization. It's a mess to work there because no one knows what the other people do, and it takes forever for them to do something and or approve something, and it's just, it's yeah. They don't pay on time very often, you know. It's just everyone wants to do everything cheapest way possible these days, you know. Like I used to think like the skill and knowledge and passion for the thing will get you to the places, but it's not true, you know. Yeah, yeah, they don't pay on time. A lot of people like end up like frustrated and depressed, you know, because it's just not a very healthy environment to work at. A lot of people end up in a hospital because crunchies, which was reality in Rockstar Studios when they were working on Red Dead Redemption 2, for example. They had to work such a crazy overtimes. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy business. But it wasn't always like that, you know. But I don't think, honestly, it's going to go back into some normal way. I don't know. I believe like artists, like concept artists, and people in this industry, I think we need to find a new ways of um, creating some interesting stuff, products, classes, you know. Yeah. Sneakers, board games. Seems like indie studios is where it's can find one that has big passion for the game and making it special. Yeah, and then um, yeah. And then when that project like is released and is successful, you know, and that's just golden, you know. Yeah, in these studios, I think it's the best. Like all the guys that I've been working with, none of them works in these big video game companies anymore. All of them have their own project. Yeah. Because like no one could stand that politics, you know. I'm like totally doodling here. What games do you like? Right now I'm playing Overwatch 2. Songs of Conquest is also really good. It's like Heroes of Might and Magic. Nice. That sounds good. Total War Warhammer 3. Nice. Do you play Magic Arena? Magic Online? Oh, this is interesting photo. What are you? What do I play? I'll be honest. I liked Kingdom Come Deliverance too, but unfortunately these days I can't even look at it. I don't think I will be able to look at it ever again. For example, and I'm a big fan of World of Warcraft, but the old ones, Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King. So that's what I like to play. Yeah, okay. Old games, you know, because I feel that honest interest in it when I play old games and fun and stuff, and not just following stupid trends like copying, you know, like for example, Elden Ring, and now all these like soul games. Like it's everything's same, you know. When it comes to like playing a video game, I really like and I believe what makes an addictive video game and successful video game is when you are building up a real world with the real rules, you know, and the player can feel it, you know. That's for example the projects that I am like excited to work on. But yeah, so I like games like that. V-Rising. I like Detroit Become Human. That's just like, woof. I played that game so many times. Jedi Survivor, played it, finished it 10 times maybe. Just like the combat system. Souls like enjoys are getting good nowadays. They got a lot of games. Yeah. After a while, though, it feels like very same. I think like Wukong and Elden Ring and even like Expedition 33. It's got some core techniques and stuff, and it's all kind of same thing to me. I don't know. I've been playing games over 20 years, and I'm like very picky. you know. Yeah. I get bored with the games very easily. Yeah. Definitely. Oh, okay. So my buddies got into it for a couple months and been back. A lot of charm with the game. Pretty sweet. Listen to the music. Yeah, definitely. World of Warcraft 2005, 6, 7 was just that was I believe that was the best game ever made. And then Burning Crusade, which was the first expansion set for World of Warcraft. That was just that was great. It was also a great time to work in a video game industry because it was not as new and not as corrupted as it is now, and rotten as it is now. So yeah, it was like something new, and everyone was kind of still discovering it. The games, how to make it interesting. Yeah, you feel the love in it, in games 2005 till 2010, 12. There's still some titles these days, but it's just very rare. And I think, unfortunately, like with the AI, it's going to be even worse. Like when AI will be able to develop all the environments on its own and characters, and there's not going to be any designers and original thoughts. It's going to be creating a generic crap, right? And companies will be just like trying to release the next title as soon as possible, which looks like the next 20 other titles, right? Just to generate that crazy money. It's just kind of weird. But of course, there will be some people who will still push making games in more human way. I think so, but I believe like people will realize after a while that AI is such a generic, it produces nothing else but generic crap. So they will start to appreciate this more because it's real. That's my honest hope. Oh, you started with Cataclysm? Okay. Nice. Yeah. I don't like AI. And I always have such a I would never believe it, but I have a hard time to explain people. I can't believe I have to explain people why is AI art like bad. I mean, it's just these people who I always have this discussion with about AI art. It's just like these people never ever created anything. they just don't know what is it to take a journey and try and uh, build something, through mistakes and little victories and satisfaction. And there's just like a lot of indie studios, but low hopes for A studios. I don't know. I've been in a game developers conference last year at the GDC in San Francisco, and a lot of studios are actually like saying out loud and proud that they are like hiring student concept artists who are willing to work with AI art. And I'm like, there was a little discussion panel there about AI art. Like basically every day it was some live discussion there, and I stood up and I'm like, so why do we even need a concept artist for that, right? Anyone from the street can just hit the prompts for AI art. It's just nonsense. Yeah, CEOs doesn't care. CEOs only cares about money, And for the big game companies, you're just nothing but money. They don't care about your story or skill set, your knowledge, or your personality, or what you're really bringing to the table. For them, it's you're only the number on a paper. And that's it. And they will throw you off the boat once it's not convenient for them. And they are not going to give you any explanation, any compensations, anything. They'll just cut you off, like nothing. Yeah. Yeah, that's right what you said. Kind of wasting concept artists' talent and time if you're just getting them and generate AI. Yeah, I believe like that's what makes that what puts the value on a concept artist, right? The ideas, and thoughts. AI can't do it. So that's still something that exclusively belongs to humans, the creativity and ideas, I think. Like, for example, one of the very a big advantages when it comes to concept art versus AI art, I can start to design a character, for example, and as I design it, I have more and better ideas. More I design it, So it always will take me this process into an interesting routes and corners and this problem solving of its own, which takes time because it's a process. It just takes you to an interesting solutions to the problem that you're trying to solve, right? For example, for a character design. And AI doesn't do this. It's just crap, And people who will be using the AI art don't know anything about this design process either. They just sit down and they hit the prompts like trained monkeys, So what's the really? There's just no thinking, no process in it, But a lot of people doesn't understand this. A lot of people don't want to see it. A lot of people don't care. Yeah. So that's the point. It's kind of sad to see that, to be honest, because more and more we are giving away what it means to be a human, Thinking, you don't have to think anymore these days. You just ask AI, ChatGPT for everything. You don't have to even You don't have to do any research on anything. You don't have to create anything because AI art will do it for you. You don't have to do social interaction because social media will do it for you, you know. Um, I mean, so what is left out there that makes us human, you know? I mean, it's crazy. Students are cooked. A lot of them are like angry about it, and a lot of them don't want to work that way, you know, um, which I admire them for. The resistance, the defiance they have, because that's good. If they say, I don't want to work that way, that's good, you know. You got actual school experience, yeah. What do you do? Teachers won't get lazy using AI art. Yeah. Then what's the point of having a teacher then, right? If teachers using AI, it's just then there's no point of having a teacher in a class, right? Everyone can just ask the question in ChatGPT. What's the point of having books? You know, what's the point of writing then, right? What's the point of thinking? Oh, mechanical design for a company in the food industry. Wow. That's interesting. Do you like it? CAD modeling of conveyor shakers. Oh, wow. Interesting. Some cool stuff. Nice. So how do you feel about like AI replacing you? You think it's real? Lots of variety. Nice. So actually like designing a product, that's cool. This is sort of like a chicken dragon. That didn't really work out, so sorry about that. Oh, CAD modeling was something I like with the might be pretty far off. Okay. Oh, this is a nice picture. You're more custom with the equipment, not one size fits all. Oh, okay. That's cool. Ooh, look at these long legs. That's crazy. Wow. Chicken dragon. It's a chicken dragon. I tried something and it didn't work out, you know. And that's normal. That's very common when you're learning something. You really like how I'm able to clearly define the shape of the face without the use of lines, but just shading. Oh, you mean on the chicken dragon? Yeah, that's a sort of like another kind of approach when it comes to drawing, which is more related to painting actually, finding a shapes, but drawing does take from that as well. On a chicken dragon, yeah. A lot of comic artists does that. Like they find the shapes and they block the shapes. I don't have anything like that here, I think. Maybe here. There's also a shape. Shapes here. It represents like a shadow. It depends. Drawing is a perception of reality. So you never kind of create anything that's like real, because in the real life there's no lines, right? So you always kind of tweak it, the reality, if it makes sense. And that's maybe the fun part, you know. That you kind of also have to not only understand all the perspectives and forms, but you have to bring something on of your own in drawing. To make it more interesting. And it is for getting creative juices flowing for monster creation. Would love to get into drawing creatures in the future along with my fantasy. Creative juices flowing for monster creation. Now, all the monsters and everything, like good designs, comes with like a studies like this form and what does it do in real life. For example, that's actually what we were talking about in my foundation drawing class at Brainstorm now. You can study a bug or insect or anything basically like this but not only to study it, like draw it, but also find some interesting information about it, like what does it eat, how does it live, and what's the defense mechanism, for example, of it. And then you take that information, you do some studies, and then you can create very interesting, cool ideas based on that little research. For example, a ladybug releases a stinky orange liquid from its legs when there's a predator nearby. So that's something interesting, right? Or when you do study like this, firefly. So there's a biochemical compound in their abdomen, which is the only natural light source, like, which is interesting, right? And just with this thought, you can create so many interesting ideas, you know. So studies like this really helps. Yeah. References are great, of course, but I think that research, knowing something, I would say reading, you know, can be very, very helpful when it comes to creative juices. For example, I don't know what this is, but it's pretty cool. There must be a reason why it has such a long legs, or I don't know what it is. So I would research that. The more you know, the better. Yeah, definitely. You bet. Got such a weird face, this bug. Very interesting. Never seen it before. Drawbacks of digital art versus pen and paper. Both. Do both if you want, if you can. My friends who always say like, why would I bother with a paper? And I'm like, well, when there's going to be a blackout, massive blackout, I'm going to pull out a sketchbook out of my bag. What are you going to be working with? Right? It's fun to travel, for example, and just sketch stuff you see, you know, plants, trees, or go to museum in different cities and sit down and hunt the drawings, you know. This just adds another fun element to a traveling, you know. It's fun. So that's why I take sketchbooks with me when I travel. There's just so much freedom in it to just sit down somewhere in a coffee store, anywhere, and just draw on a paper, you know. And when you do studies and when you kind of, you know how to do something from imagination, for example, I know something about design and stuff, it just adds so much to our process, and you can be creatively so free. So right there, you know, and not constantly like relying on like, oh no, my battery's gonna die, or oh no, I forgot the power bank, you know, or oh no, I don't have internet, oh no, I don't have a Wi-Fi, oh no, I don't have a space on my iPad, you know, I don't have a, I don't know. This is just so easy. You just take a paper, pen, and it's just you, paper, pen, and your knowledge. That's it. You know? You a bit of conspiracy theorist? Oh, because of the blackout. No, but like think about like, for example, in Austin, there's like a lot of like storms and stuff, and I don't know, for some reason there's always some power outage and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, oh no, I cannot like work now because there's no electricity, you know. That's if I would be relying only on a working digitally, you know. Yeah. It has its own advantages and disadvantages, you know. I feel much more confident working digitally because I can try a lot of stuff and adjust a lot of stuff and transform a lot of stuff, and it's just great. Although on a paper with a pen, I'm like very limited, you know. I gotta be careful. I have to think and commit to the decisions, you know, which is great practice. I like both. Do you have a preferences for the differences in feel? Like, what do you mean? Like, when it comes to what? Oh, like when it comes to digital versus traditional, you mean? Like the feel of drawing with a pen on paper versus digital. Pen and paper will always feel more natural, you know, because there's just nothing. It's just there's just nothing between you and paper. Only this, your brain. Digitally, it's like, oh, what if I will hit the redo? What if I will transform this? What if I will be looking for, you know, references for like 2 hours, and I will be copying them and downloading them, and oh, and there's like a, you know, distraction, and there's a reel, and there's a YouTube video, and yeah, it just feels more natural on a paper, more magical, I would say. Yeah, there's a lot of feeling, you know. I think it's just very human, like to create on a paper, very real. Do you think it's beneficial for concept artists to draw with pen to make them think more before they put something on a paper? They can be beneficial not only for concept artists but for anyone, you know. Just this kind of work or commitments and, you know, thinking really is about like also being mindful and slowing down, you know, and that can be very beneficial to anyone, especially in these times, you know, when there's just so much noise and you want to cut it and slow down. And I have a good experience with people who took my class, who had a trauma, for example, childhood trauma, and they took a class, and because they could distract their mind in the class and they could focus on building up something on a paper, it was a very healing experience for them. So yeah, it's got a lot of benefits for your memory, for mental health, for mindfulness. Drawing on paper is great. That's why Jongi was doing it for so long. You know, it's a real challenge. Put a narrative thought in your drawing and draw it from imagination and from a different perspective, and build up the forms correctly, and playing with the stuff you only studied and know, and twist it somehow that you can still make mistakes but fool your audience, you know. It's a lot of challenge in it, but it is very satisfying and very rewarding. And in compare, like when you work digitally, when you make mistake, you just hit the undo, right? But you can kind of explore more in this way of work. When you do digital like designs, for example, it's like, oh, what if I will add this, or what if I will tweak this, and it's just so very quick, you know. Iterations can be done very quickly. Yeah, you can swap something, you know. So yeah, that's my experience. Do you like to draw on paper? Next one. It will teach you a discipline and patience. Drawing. And that can be very rare. To knowing how to slow down. When I seen a video of some of my mentors or friends, or for example even Jongi, if you go and search real time drawing stuff from him, you see how he's thinking about everything. Like he slows down and there's just thought behind every line and stroke, you know. That is just very inspiring. People forgot it because this internet shows everything like quickly done, you know, and speed paintings, and it's just, but the reality is somewhere else. When I've seen these real-time videos of how people draw, like what it takes to draw so it would be clean and understandable, and the commitments to the decisions, it was very, very inspiring for me. It was an eye-opening experience, to be honest. And it makes a huge difference when you take your time. Lately too, I've been doing digital because I want to give oil painting a shot in the future, so I like going over my sketches with that base layer of paint and blocking in my colors together. That can be very helpful, yes. Understanding of where to put my lights, darks and midtones. Yeah. That sounds good. You want to like become an oil painter, portrait artist? That's your goal, sort of stuff. Something with its style, dark fantasy. Nice. Dark fantasy is cool. undeads and necromancers, monsters, werewolves, vampires. And recommendations for YouTubers to watch for slow methodical drawing, like you said. Besides myself, of course. That's a good question. Jongi's video can be like very helpful, not to only like follow his technique, but kind of paying attention of how actually what's the speed of his paintings, drawings. Who else? I have learned it all in the classes, to be honest. When I have been taking classes, drawing classes. And when I've seen a video from Nivan Shantara, if you know him, he's a concept artist. He does a lot of like a sci-fi stuff, and he sells out these videos where he real-time shows how he draws, and it's very slow, mindful process. Yeah, Kim Jong-ji. I'm off to bed. It was nice chatting with you. Hope to catch you live another time. Have a good night. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. It was nice to talking to you. Have a good one. Maybe one more constructional drawing. Yes, Michael, I am using reference for this. I mean, I'm using a real reference and I'm trying to simplify it, if it makes sense. If that's what you're asking. Okay, my friends. That's it for today. Thank you so much for coming, and I will